What if you could see the world like a grandmaster sees a chessboard? While most people are playing checkers, reacting to whatever happens right in front of them, the top 1% are thinking 5 moves ahead. That's a quote from Patrick Bet-David, and it's the core philosophy of his powerhouse book, Your Next 5 Moves. If you feel like you're working hard but spinning your wheels, it's probably not a lack of effort, it's a lack of strategy. Patrick isn't just a theorist, he's a man who fled war-torn Iran, served in the United States military, and built a massive financial services empire. By the end of this summary, you're going to have a literal roadmap for your career. We aren't just talking about hustle culture, we're talking about the surgical precision required to dominate your industry, be it entertainment, business, you can name it all. So, let's dive into move number 1. Move 1, master knowing yourself. The foundation of every great strategy. Most people start a business because they want freedom or money, but Patrick argues that these are too vague to sustain you when things get ugly. Move 1 is about radical self-awareness. You have to know why you are doing what you are doing. Are you a solopreneur who values autonomy, or are you a company builder who wants to manage thousands? Neither is wrong, but confusing the two is a recipe for a midlife crisis. The chapters of self-discovery. Patrick breaks this down into understanding your product, which is you. You need to audit your strengths and weaknesses without the ego. He suggests a personal SWOT analysis, but with a human twist. Ask the people who dislike you what your flaws are. It's painful, but that's where the growth is. The identity audit. One of the most profound lessons here is the identity audit. Patrick shares a story about his early days in the insurance industry. He realized he was trying to emulate other leaders instead of leaning into his own competitive nature. Once he embraced that he was fueled by being an underdog, his productivity skyrocketed. In your own life, think about the why. Is it to prove someone wrong? Is it to provide for a family that never had anything? Patrick says, don't judge your motives, use them. If spite gets you out of bed at 5 a.m., use it until you find a more noble purpose. The power of introspection. The final piece of move 1 is about the math of the soul. You need to calculate the cost of your dreams. If you want a $100 million company, are you willing to sacrifice that normal weekend? Move 1 forces you to look in the mirror and decide if the person looking back is willing to pay the price for the vision they claim to have. It's about aligning your daily actions with your ultimate Grandmaster goal. Move 2, master the ability to reason. Processing issues like a machine. Now that you know who you are, how do you handle the chaos that life throws at you? Move 2 is about becoming a master processor. Patrick observes that most people are emotional processors. They get a bad email and their whole day is ruined. A Grandmaster, however, processes issues with logic and speed. Patrick introduces a brilliant framework for decision-making. Every problem should be filtered through the I.C.E. method. I.C.E. here stands for identify, calculate, and execute. Firstly, identify. What is the actual problem? Usually, it's not what you think. Secondly, calculate. What are the 3 or 4 possible solutions and the butterfly effect of each? That is, if you only solve the visible problem, the tornado, it will just keep happening. You have to find the tiny wing flap, which is the root cause, and fix it there. In move 2, Patrick Bet is teaching us to calculate. If I make this decision today, what does my company look like in 12 months because of it? Lastly, execute. Pick the best path and move immediately. Patrick shares a story about a time his company faced a massive regulatory hurdle that could have shut them down. Instead of panicking, he gathered his leaders and treated the problem like a math equation. By removing the fear element, they found a loophole that actually allowed them to grow faster. The lesson for us? In your life, when a crisis hits, be it a breakup, a job loss, or a failed project, stop and ask, what is the most logical next move? If you can decrease your time to process from 3 days to 3 minutes, you become unstoppable. Creating a culture of reasoning. This move also covers how to teach your team to think. If you solve everyone's problems for them, you're creating intellectual cripples. Instead, when an employee comes to you with a problem, ask them, what are your 3 proposed solutions? This shifts the burden of thinking and scales your ability to move fast. Move 3, master building the right team. You can't win a Super Bowl alone. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you're the only person in the room, you're just a freelancer. Move 3 is about the shift from me to we. This is often the hardest move for high performers because it requires giving up control. The psychology of recruitment. Patrick emphasizes that you aren't just hiring skills, you're hiring values. He talks about the humble, hungry, and smart framework. You need people who are willing to grind, but also people who don't have such a big ego that they poison the company culture. Patrick tells a story about hiring someone who looked perfect on paper but was a cancer to the team morale. He had to make the hard choice to let a top producer go to save the culture. It teaches a vital lesson: one bad apple doesn't just sit there, it rots the barrel. In your life, look at your inner circle. Are they the teammates who challenge you to think 5 moves ahead, or are they anchors holding you back? Building a team applies to your personal life just as much as your business. Retention and incentives. How do you keep great people? It's not just money. It's about the vision. You have to sell your team on a future that is better than their present. Patrick explains how to create skin in the game so that when the company wins, the individuals win. This creates a sense of ownership that no salary can buy. Move 4, master strategy to scale. Systems over sweat. Move 4 is where we get into the heavy lifting of growth. Scaling isn't about working more hours, it's about creating systems that work without you. If you have to be present for every dollar made, you don't have a business, you have a high-paying job. The 6 systems of scaling. Patrick Bett outlines the vital systems: sales, marketing, operations, finance, technology, and legal. Patrick Bett David explains that most entrepreneurs are solitary geniuses. They have a special talent, maybe they are great at closing deals or designing products, but they become the bottleneck of their own success. Scaling is the process of removing yourself as the single point of failure. 1. Sales, the engine. Converting interest into revenue. The baker's trap: the owner is the only one who can sell a wedding cake because they are the expert. The scaling move: you create a sales script and a pricing menu so a 19-year-old cashier can handle a $5,000 catering order with the same professionalism and accuracy as you would. 2. Marketing, the fuel. Generating consistent leads and brand awareness. The baker's trap: people only come in because they know the owner personally or happen to walk by. The scaling move: you build a system that runs social media ads, manages a loyalty email list, and handles Google reviews automatically. The goal is to have customers walking in the door even if you aren't there to shake their hands. 3. Operations, the infrastructure. How the work actually gets done. The baker's trap: the owner knows exactly how long the sourdough needs to rise by feel. The scaling move: you write a standard operating procedure. You document every step. The dough must proof at 75 degrees Fahrenheit for exactly 4 hours. Now, you can hire 5 bakers, and every loaf in every location tastes identical. 4. Finance, the scoreboard. Managing cash flow, taxes, and profitability. The baker's trap: the owner looks at the bank account at the end of the month to see if there is money left. The scaling move: you implement a weekly flash report. You track the cost of flour, labor percentages, and waste. If the price of eggs goes up 10%, your system alerts you to adjust your prices immediately so you don't go broke while being busy. 5. Technology, the multiplier. Using tools to do more with less. The baker's trap: taking orders on a paper notepad and calling suppliers manually. The scaling move: you install a point-of-sale system that automatically alerts your flour supplier when your inventory gets low. You use software to schedule shifts so you aren't texting employees at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. 6. Legal, the shield. Protecting what you've built. The baker's trap: hiring people with a handshake agreement and hoping nobody gets hurt in the kitchen. The scaling move: you have ironclad employment contracts, proper insurance, and health safety protocols. As you scale to 50 states, you need to navigate 50 different sets of labor laws. Without this system, one lawsuit can wipe out a decade of work. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far and big, build systems. Which of these 6 is currently the weakest link in your bakery? That is where your next move begins. Raising capital and momentum. This section also dives into the when and how of raising money. Patrick warns against taking dumb money that comes with too many strings. He focuses on maintaining momentum. In physics, it's hard to get a train moving, but once it's at full speed, it can crash through a brick wall. Your strategy should be designed to keep the momentum train rolling at all costs. Move 5, Master Power Plays. Dominating the industry. The final move is about becoming the king or queen of your space. This is where you transition from a successful business person to an industry icon. It's about understanding leverage, branding, and how to beat the Goliaths in your market. Patrick loves the story of David and Goliath. He explains that small players have one advantage big corporations don't: speed. While a giant company takes 6 months to approve a marketing campaign, you can do it in 6 hours. Move 5 is about using your slingshot, speed and innovation to take down the giants. The art of the pivot. A power play often involves a pivot. Patrick discusses how to see shifts in the economy before they happen. For instance, moving into digital content before others realized its power. In your life, Move 5 is about legacy. It's about asking, what will people say about me when I'm gone? It's the move that transforms a career into a mission. It's about making moves that don't just benefit your bank account, but change the world around you. Framed for Greatness. The book concludes by tying all 5 moves together. You can't make a power play if you don't have a team, Move 3, and you can't lead a team if you don't know yourself, Move 1. It's a perfect, logical loop. And there you have it, the blueprint to thinking like a grandmaster. Patrick Bet David's Your Next 5 Moves is more than a book, it's a mental software update. We want to hear from you. Which of these 5 moves do you find the hardest to master right now? Is it the self-awareness of Move 1, or the scaling systems of Move 4? Drop a comment below and let's start a strategy session in the thread. If you found this breakdown valuable, you're exactly the kind of high performer we built this channel for. Here at the BloomShelf Hub, we are dedicated to distilling the world's most impactful books into actionable lessons for your life and business. Don't forget to like this video if you learned something new, and subscribe to join our community of thinkers and doers. Hit that notification bell so you never miss your next move. Stay sharp, stay strategic, and we'll see you in the next summary.